It is Wednesday, June 1st, and this is now on HNN.
HFD and federal firefighters battle a house fire near Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam.
This does feel like endless.
Shanghai is gradually reopening after a months-long COVID lockdown.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation?
A jury in Virginia reaches a verdict in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial. I'm Natalie Brand outside the courthouse with the outcome in this high-profile civil lawsuit.
All these stories plus a look back at Elvis Presley's lasting legacy here in the Aloha State. That's coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for watching. This is Now. You got Jonathan and Mark right here in the H&N Digital Center. Let's get right to today's top story.
Yeah, firefighters are investigating a blaze that broke out near Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam. Dylan Anchetta joins us with what we know.
Here's the latest details we can report at this hour. The fire broke out at a military housing area called Little Makalapa. That's near Radford Drive and Kamehameha Highway. The Honolulu Fire Department said a two-story residential building was involved. Both HFD and federal firefighters responded to the blaze. It was located on federal property, so our crews couldn't get super close to the actual house, but a large plume of smoke could be seen from a distance. Viewers sent us these videos around 7:30 this morning. We have calls out to fire officials, and we're still waiting to hear back on a cause or if there were any injuries reported, but we do know emergency medical crews were among the first responders called out. Be sure to keep checking your H&N digital platforms for updates to this story. For This Is Now, I'm Dylan Anchetta.
New today, the State Department of Health is reporting 8,124 new coronavirus cases and 6 additional deaths in the past 7 days. That compares to 8,924 coronavirus infections and 5 deaths last week. The state's COVID figures don't include positive results from at-home tests, so the real numbers are likely far higher.
Well, in China, COVID restrictions are starting to ease in some Shanghai neighborhoods that endured a brutal months-long lockdown. Selena Wang takes a closer look.
Sprinting with shopping bags, residents racing to get out. After more than 2 months of a brutal citywide lockdown, Shanghai is finally cracking open the seal. The city's main train station packed with people trying to escape, but actually getting out of here is a treacherous journey. The city says it will fully resume transportation today. But earlier, people have been seen trekking miles across highways, dragging their luggage or strapping it to bikes. Even journeys of dozens of miles or more, not swaying their determination. The train station parking lot has become a campsite, some leaving days earlier than their departure time, terrified they could be locked down again if they stay at home. The masses outside the train station, a stark contrast to the rest of Shanghai. Hundreds of thousands still remain locked in. But even the lucky ones allowed out face a laundry list of restrictions. There are checkpoints everywhere.
No, this is definitely not freedom.
This Shanghai resident and her son, who wished to remain anonymous for fear of persecution from authorities, were finally allowed out after more than 80 days. Her only solace is seeing her son outside and smiling for the first time in a long time.
My child now has depression because of the lockdown. He started waking up at night and crying and shouting and saying there were people wearing masks in his bedroom, and he stopped eating.
That harsh reality miles away from what the government wants to show. Watch this state TV reporter pull the microphone and camera away during a live interview when the resident starts to complain about the lockdown. She says, "I've never lived through anything like this, being locked inside your home and not allowed to go out. What a big joke." Officials say the city will start returning to normal in June, but residents are doubtful.
So this does feel like endless nightmare.
Her freedom lasted less than a week. One COVID case was found near her, so she's back to lockdown. For over 2 months, Shanghai has had its freedom taken away, residents imprisoned at home or forced into quarantine centers like these. No one knows when this nightmare will fully end.
And joining us now is John Decker, Hawaii News Now White House correspondent. Great to see you, John. Always great talking with you. Now, first off, the House and Senate are on recess, but a bipartisan group of lawmakers are working on gun control legislation. What can you tell us about the proposed laws, and what kind of progress is being made?
Some progress is being made. We're hearing that from both Republicans and Democrats. Leading the effort for Republicans, Senator John Cornyn from Texas. And then on the Democratic side, you have a number of Democrats, including Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. What they're focused on right now is work on legislation known as red flag law legislation. What would this do? This would allow a judge to order the confiscation of guns from an individual who is deemed a danger to themselves or others. The trick here with this legislation, in order to get Republicans to support it, is there needs to be a due process component to this legislation, allowing someone to challenge the confiscation of their guns in court. So that, I think, is what they're working on right now. But we are told that there is some progress. And as far as these red flag laws, there are 19 states and right here in the District of Columbia that have these red flag laws already on the books. But now what we're talking about here is a federal red flag law.
John, moving to the international stage, the U.S. is providing precision rockets to Ukraine. How is this being received?
Well, that's exactly right. We're talking about part of a $700 million package that President Biden has announced. A 50-mile range rocket is what we're talking about. And that is something that will certainly be useful as the Ukraine military fights against Russia. Also provided in that package, helicopters, anti-tank weapons, anti-aircraft weaponry as well. And so the idea here from the Biden administration perspective is evening the fight, making it so that Russia and Ukraine can eventually get to the negotiating table. From Russia's perspective, they believe that these medium-range rockets add fuel to the fire. They say it does not cause a situation which will bring both sides to the negotiating table. But I think they're, quite frankly, very concerned about what this will mean for their forces now that Ukraine will have its hands on this type of weaponry.
And John, so many significant issues to tackle and discuss. Now, it is our understanding that President Biden met with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell yesterday. What is the president's plan for inflation?
The president spelled out his plan for inflation in an op-ed that he wrote earlier this week in the Wall Street Journal. The president spoke about how he is dependent on the Federal Reserve to a large extent. And we know the Fed has raised interest rates as recently as earlier this month by 0.5 percentage point, the first interest rate hike in quite some time. And we also expect the Fed to raise rates maybe 2 more times over the next few months. What does that do? It tames inflation. So that's one part of the plan. The president also talked about investing in green technology. That's number 2. And lastly, the president spoke about the need to lower the deficit. He thinks that that will also be helpful in terms of dealing with the inflation problem. The big problem here, Mark, is that all of those ideas, which may be good, they're long-term fixes. So if you're expecting to see prices come down in the next few weeks in terms of how much you're paying for gas, that's not going to happen based upon these actions that the president announced in that Wall Street Journal op-ed.
And still expecting to see record gas prices. Now, finally, we saw some news about shipments, but the baby formula shortage is getting worse. What is the White House doing about that to address that?
Well, that's right. This shortage has been present for a number of weeks since that Abbott manufacturing facility in Michigan was shut down due to fears of contamination. That facility, by the way, is going to be getting up online very soon. But until then, President Biden meeting today with the leaders of 5 manufacturers of baby formula. That's number 1. And also announcing that a significant amount of baby formula is being imported into the U.S. from Europe. It's being brought over from London on a United Airlines flight. So those are good short-term fixes. And once that manufacturing plant from Abbott comes back online and gets up and running, hopefully within the next a few weeks, maybe as long as a month, that baby formula shortage will soon go away.
John Decker, Hawaii News Now, White House correspondent. Always great talking with you. Have a great one, John.
You too. Thanks, Mark.
New at noon, the lunchroom food fight to make our schools more sustainable is ongoing. As our Sammy Salina reports, there's more waste than ever being reported by schools, and many of the leftovers are ending up in the dump.
When you're in charge of the lunchroom leftovers, you know exactly what kids like and don't. Windward Zero Waste School Hui composts all of the food waste at 5 Kailua schools. And they keep track of how many pounds of food are tossed every day.
Right here, 113. That was probably a hot dog day. And then here's one, 224 pounds. I guarantee you that one was tuna sandwich and corn chowder. Nobody touches it.
Hot dogs are in, tuna is out. They've done this since 2014, and food waste is higher now that all Hawaii kids have access to free breakfast and lunch.
There's been a really giant amount of food waste due to the free lunch program. So at a school like this, normally we'd have only about 20 piles, but as you can see here, we have about 31 piles this year.
We have no control over the amount of food that is being served. What we do have control of is how we handle it once lunch is over.
You could say this nonprofit is in a good old cafeteria food fight. The DOE spent $39 million on food in the 2019-2020 school year. That produced 18.5 million meals. 58% came from federal funds, 23% from state funds, and 19% from cash sales. They don't have this year's official numbers, but if Kailua schools reflect elsewhere, there was a lot more waste. In a statement, the DOE said, as the department's food menu continues to evolve, the ultimate goal is to reduce food waste as much as possible by serving healthy and nutritious food that students enjoy. They went on to say a dozen schools have implemented a composting program, and there are some campuses where waste goes to local pig farms, but the rest goes to landfills.
They really need to recognize, the state needs to recognize that here at the schools they have the highest asset they could possibly ask for.
They've survived off of donations alone this past semester. They can survive through the summer, but don't know where that money will be after that. But they'll keep up their lunchroom fight. Sammy Salina, Hawaii News Now.
All right, excellent report from Sammy Salina there. So it seems like kids are echoing the fact that not all lunches are created equally.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So with some social media insight on that, we're bringing in our Dylan and Cheta. What did you get?
There is a really interesting Instagram account. It's run by an anonymous Kailua Intermediate School student. It's named bad.schoollunches, and that student posts and rates the daily lunches. Of course, improving the quality of school lunches has long been a passionate issue among students and families here in Hawaii. This account here, as you can see, rates this lunch from January 8th as 8 out of 10. It tasted good. The cheese was plastic as always.
Plastic cheese. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the presentation. Sometimes just always seems so sad.
Yeah.
And only 6 tater tots?
Yes. 6 tater tots, and then you got the plastic fork covering 2 of the other
and the unknown to the left. What else you got, Dylan?
This next one, it was captioned, we have, quote, anti-gravity mac and cheese, 4.5 out of 10. It tastes all right, just got to get over the texture. Yeah. And of course the apple and the carrots. So there's some healthiness to it.
It looks sparse, though. It looks very sparse. I would still be hungry.
Oh, my goodness.
Even with that big baseball size.
Don't eat all the carrots at once. All right?
Yeah.
The mac and cheese better be good.
And this last one, last but not least, 5 out of 10, not bad. Spaghetti was extremely hot and the beans were extremely cold and taste like chlorine, but it was all right. That's, again, how that student captioned that one. For me, I was a fan of spaghetti in school, but you know what the secret is? You got to put ranch on it.
Okay, you have your own
one of those
twist
ranch
on
people?
it.
I'm one of those ranch people. I put it on everything. It's delicious.
The spaghetti, I remember, always came with garlic bread, which was delicious.
Yes.
I didn't know that the beans is a thing now.
Yeah, it got a little healthier since I was in school, I'd have to say, because I just remember the square pizza was the bomb.
That was my least favorite. I'm sorry. Complete opposite. Yeah.
Well, now
you like the cheese perfectly heated, right?
Yeah, the delicious plastic cheese.
I guess you didn't like the congealed texture.
No, not at all. I will have to say, though, luckily we live Hawaii because Fridays, the shoyu chicken.
Oh, yes.
That was bomb.
Yes,
That was bomb.
the
If you
chicken
want to
always
check
worked
out
out.
the full collection of those slides, we put a slideshow up on our website.
Well, I hope you're enjoying your lunch out there, guys. All right, let's take you live outside. There's still some high surf out there and some beautiful weather. Let's turn things over to Guy Hoggy with an update.
And you can see those trade-ins running nice and firm today and through tomorrow. And then on Friday, though, they really step off the gas. They're going to be slowing down Friday, Saturday, into Sunday. I think even on Monday, the winds will remain rather light. Even though there's a hint of a trade-in breeze, things will be changing when those winds lighten up. So here's your 7-day forecast, and things are looking good. Nice, steady trade-in weather. Lots of sunshine, very little rain, just a few morning showers, a few overnight showers, mainly for windward sides. And then when the winds lighten up, well, the pattern will change, right? Instead of those windward and Mauka showers, we'll have afternoon showers for some isolated leeward and interior spots, but not widespread, right? No widespread rain anytime soon. So that's a long stretch of the best weather on the planet.
In breaking news, a verdict in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. Natalie Brand is outside the courthouse with the very latest.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
After listening to weeks of shocking testimony, a Virginia jury has sided with actor Johnny Depp in his lawsuit against ex-wife Amber Heard, awarding him $15 million in compensatory and punitive damages.
Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven, by clear and convincing evidence, that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes.
The jury also found in favor of Ms. Heard, who claimed Depp's lawyers defamed her when he called her abuse allegations a hoax.
I've never struck Ms. Heard. I've never struck a woman in my life.
The Pirates of the Caribbean star sued his ex-wife for defamation, citing a 2018 Washington Post op-ed in which Heard referred to herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. Depp was not named in the article, but claimed it destroyed his reputation and his career. On the stand, Heard maintained her accusations of abuse.
He's punching me with a closed fist, punching me.
Amber Heard was in court for the verdict and expressed her disappointment in a statement afterward. The 7-person jury had to make a unanimous decision to reach each verdict. The jury deliberated for about 12 hours over 3 days. The high-profile civil suit was followed closely by fans on both sides in person and on social media. Natalie Brand, CBS News.
Well, the internet has been talking about that one. And let's see what else cyberspace is buzzing about. Mark, what'd you find?
That's right. New details on the Madden video game franchise. As expected, the late, great John Madden will be on this year's cover. The Hall of Famer passed away in December, and the game will also feature remastered audio clips of Madden's voice. And Electronic Arts says it is donating $2.5 million to Madden's commitment to education charity. It will be released later this summer. So that decision was a no-brainer.
What a huge franchise that got started on desktop, I understand, from watching like a recent documentary. And now they're all the way on number 23.
Yeah, completely revolutionary. And the All Madden documentary that is out, it really is just remarkable as well how it all got started and how he signed on to the franchise.
And that iconic voice.
Yes.
Like, I'm so glad that's sticking around for us. All right, Dylan, what you got for us?
Yeah, if you guys have ever wondered why the giant shark megalodon went extinct, scientists may have an answer. It's a question I ask myself every single day. They think the megalodon likely had to compete with the great white shark for prey, and of course, the great white won the battle for survival. The megalodon lived more than 23 million years ago and was almost 4 times the size of the great whites we see cruising our oceans today. However, in the fight for food, it lost out. Now, scientists were able to conclude this after using new technology that looks at zinc levels contained in the teeth of dozens of shark species to see where each fit in the food chain. Zinc plays a crucial role in bone development, and it preserves a record in the teeth of kind of what the prey consumed, what the shark consumed. Scientists believe both great whites and megalodon sharks feasted on large fish, but the smaller sized great whites didn't require as much food to survive, so that of course gave them the competitive edge.
All this video and this prehistoric talk Reminds me, Jurassic Park, my favorite franchise of all time. The new movie comes out June 10th, I believe.
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited about that.
So a little direct competition against Top Gun, huh?
Yeah,
For
that is
summer
going to
movie.
heat up. The summer movies are looking really cool.
Very
We're going to talk
nice.
about another one coming up in just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's talk about some good news now. Big deal happening in the UK, Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Let's turn things over to Jay Gray with more on that.
From London, where this country and so many who have gathered here are preparing for quite a party. 4 days of celebrating Queen Elizabeth, her Platinum Jubilee, 70 years on the throne, longer than any other British royal. It all kicks off officially tomorrow, where we'll have the parade honoring the Queen. Members of the royal family riding on horseback and in carriages. You'll see her royal guard marching as well. We're going to see bands as well as more than 270 others on horseback during this parade, all followed by a flyover. So it should be quite a way to kick off 4 days of celebrating this Platinum Jubilee. People from around the world, many from the U.S., have traveled here to be a part of this history, and they expect more than 1 million to gather at the peak of the party around Buckingham Palace. That's the latest right now from London. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
So Las Vegas wedding chapels are in the news, and so is that music. That's because they're getting these like cease and desist letters saying not to do Elvis ceremonies anymore. And I know you
Shocking.
got more on that, right?
Shocking. Yeah, this story may have some of you saying, don't be cruel. The license company that controls the name and the image of the king is ordering Sin City Chapel operators to stop using Elvis in themed ceremonies. It reportedly sent cease and desist letters to multiple chapels. Many in the Vegas wedding industry are all shook up over this. Of course, you know, you get the lyrics, right?
I get
The
it.
city's wedding industry generates $2 billion a year, and industry officials say Elvis-themed weddings represent a significant number of those ceremonies.
Yeah, I would think so. It's such a staple there in Vegas.
Yeah,
for people who are
iconic.
getting married. All right, so I know there's a new Elvis movie in the works, right? That's what we were talking about.
For the suspicious minds who want to know more, here are the details on that. The King of Rock and Roll is the latest musician to get the biopic treatment, with his story told on screen for the first time with permission from his estate. It means the movie is full of Elvis's hits, and it stars Austin Butler and Tom Hanks. The movie, called simply Elvis, will be released on the 24th. Looking forward to that. How about a little less conversation on that?
Yeah, that was my line. Thank you. Well, I have some fun Elvis facts for you. There's a lot of connection to the Aloha State. Do you know his first performance on Oahu was in November of 1957? He sent this telegram that I'm showing you right here to the newspaper. He said, I know that the islands enjoy surf and swim. They have great Hawaiian hospitality, and I'm eagerly looking forward to the same. Upon his arrival, the king stayed at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. Another heartbreak hotel Elvis stayed at was this one. That's the Ilikai right there. Great photo right there in that shot. And have you ever noticed this statue outside the Blaisdell? Well,
Yes,
it
of
pays
course.
tribute to his 1973 concert that was held right there, Aloha from Hawaii. It was broadcast on satellite to over 1.5 billion people eventually. That's in the 70s, guys. That's a lot of people to watch it. Obviously, he's filmed a lot of movies here on the islands as well, and there is a lot of talk about that upcoming movie.
It's always chicken skin to see that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and that outfit.
Yeah,
Whoa.
stunning.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. Mark's back first at 4 on KHNL. Dylan's got the digital desk covered all afternoon long. Have a good one.